came to these two. And then these three here were pretty close. And then right up above you, over there, and this is the newest. This is what we're wearing now. The newest one is right here. That's what we wear now. Compared right here, the newest with the very oldest, which is basically metal. That's what it was.
Damn. Probably wasn't too safe.
They didn't do much for me.
Really enjoyed it. I like helping people and love the job.
My reason for joining started way back in grade school. Third grade, if I remember right, we actually had a fire at school. And that got me into the fire service. I started on the local department there for 5-6 years. And I wanted something more. I wanted to go something bigger, somebody that ran more calls, higher up. And that's when I started here.
My boss had asked me to volunteer years back, and doing that, I just fell in love with the job and everything about it. And that's why I decided to pursue it as a career.
It's been about 23 years ago since I joined. I was looking for a good job and had good benefits and would be exciting, and something that would be good to, when you have a family, to have some time off, but also to work a lot.
I had been a volunteer firefighter prior to becoming a career firefighter. I completed college. There was an opening here at the Pittsburgh Fire Department. I applied. I graduated from college December 19th or 20th, started here January 6th.
I come from a team background, basically. I love team sports. High school, growing up as a kid, the fire service seemed like a good fit. It gave me that adrenaline rush that I needed, as well as that teamwork environment.
I've been a volunteer firefighter with the rural fire department here for 7 years before I started here, and I liked doing it and wanted to do it full time.
The hardest part about working for the fire department now that I have a family, is being away from my kids and leaving my wife with them. It's hard for her to look after 3 kids on her own, but at the same time, it's hard for me being away from them for an extended period of time and missing out on milestones as they grow up.
I would say probably being away from your family for long periods of time.
I'm engaged, about to be married soon, and it's her getting used to the new shift work schedule, that sort of thing. I'm fairly new, so we're still kind of adjusting to it.
We work 24-hour shifts. We've got a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old. That's a long time for them to be without me and me to be without them.
Hardest part, you'll hear the guys joke in the morning. Hardest part's deciding what to eat. But in all seriousness, it's all hard. Between the physical part, the mental part, the firefighting's hard in general. But you throw the emotions on top of that, vehicle accidents, all the medical calls we run on. It's both mental and physical.
Well, when my daughters were young, which I do have 3, there would be some Christmases you miss some holidays, you miss their soccer games, you miss some dance things, It doesn't affect you mentally with your family life. It's just sometimes you have to be here. We spend a third of our life in as a career with the firefighters, which means you're actually here more with them than you are with your actual family.
You miss a lot. It takes time away from sporting events and firsts, whether it be the first word or the first step. But you've got your family has to understand early on that it is a career, and it's part of it. You do miss some things, but full time is 10 days a month, so you've got a lot of other time to make up for.
In my case, we don't have any children or anything like that at all, so that helps a bunch. I actually enjoy it though. I like the days off, that kind of thing. I have to get used to the schedule now. But it's definitely been something to get used to, and especially right now I'm actually in the middle of the 72 hours, so I won't go home till Saturday morning. So it's just a transitional period.
I believe a lot of it has to do with the partner you choose. Kind of have to have somebody who's strong enough to be able to be on their own. 24 hours doesn't seem like a long time until you have kids and their activities and work and everything else. That can take a toll on an individual if they're not strong enough to maintain that on their own.
It's impossible not to have your family life come to work, and so any kind of problems that they have at home do seep into their performance at work, and especially in this job, you have to stay focused on your job, especially when we're actually working it. You need that focus to stay alive.
Death. You see dead people. You see, have to deal with that stuff. That'd be the hardest part.
The loss of life, more so of children than anything. Those were never easy for anybody involved, not only us, but families.
Some of the stuff you see, the people you have to help.
Well, there's some times when you see bad things a lot of times. It's not glorified like on TV and stuff, and you have to keep up your stamina. You got to be physically able to do the job. You work 24-hour shifts, will put you away from your family and stuff a lot. So sometimes you just can't do anything. There's some situations where you're not going to change it, and that's the hard part. You want to save everything, you want to help everybody, but sometimes it just doesn't work that way.
My worst experience since I've been a firefighter, as a young firefighter, I was first due on which ended up being a murder-suicide of a young couple. They had a child. Thankfully, the child was not injured. But that's one that probably stuck with me the longest.
Probably the most significant in my mind was a wreck where a wife and mother and the daughter were rear-ended, killing the daughter instantly, and the mother was essentially dead when we arrived on scene. The husband showed up while we were extricating, and that was definitely an eye-opener in terms of just the significance. He lost, that was his only child, and his wife. He lost everything in a matter of a few seconds, and to see the impact that had on him. To see someone burnt is definitely not a pretty sight, but when you can connect it to those other people, that's what really makes you think about it, I think.
I'd have to say a few dealings I've had with people on scenes. They're just very rude, and they forget that we're there to help them, and they try to copy more of a problem to us than if they just let us do our job.
Well, back in 2008, I was off duty, and there was a fire actually just a couple houses down from you, and the gentleman was inside. I was walking my dog, and I seen a lot of smoke coming from it. Looked in the front door from about here to about 15 feet in, and he was laying on the floor. I went in there, pulled him out. They med flighted him, but he succumbed to his due to the inhalation, he didn't survive.
Dead people again. Working your ex, living here in the community, and that people, and going to somebody that that's been in a motor vehicle accident, that's died. That's probably one of the worst ones. And then try not to take it home to your family.
It probably does change the way that I do react.
You learn to get thicker skin, I guess would be the easiest way to put it.
Because I can't take the stuff I see here home.
I know that I've seen a lot more than the general public has.
I can't show empathy, I can't do whatever because that's not part of my job. I think that honestly has carried over a little bit at home.
It probably does skew my perception a little bit.
Honestly, I think it's made me somewhat cold. I don't feel as sorry for people as I probably should.
I don't get terribly excited with most things that somebody might think was an emergency or you know, some sort of catastrophe. It doesn't affect me the same
So,
way.
if that makes sense.
You see it more.
Yes.
I haven't recognized any issues as far as that goes. That is a major issue with the military and first responders currently. You hear a lot about it in the media. Stress disorder or even undiagnosed, having bad dreams, things of that nature. It is a reality. It does happen to people. I have been lucky enough to not suffer those circumstances myself, but it is a very serious issue. We have a tendency to be exposed to the worst of the worst, and so everyone has their own way of dealing with it. Some people deal with it better than others. The most important thing is to seek out help if you need it.
Doing this profession actually makes you stronger. It makes you a lot more sharper. You're always training, always practicing, always learning.
But having thicker skin, it's a little easier to cope with that.
So yeah, I mean, this is the wrong job where you can't get messed up. And then if you see something in a bad accident or a bad incident or a bad fire, there's people that we can talk to, and if we need to talk to them, say, hey, this has bothered me. You know, I want to talk to you. You know, so we have all the resources to help us out if we need it.
Occasionally, it does really get to you. You get, you know, the few calls with kids, something serious happens, and that's where all the other guys come in, and we can really lean on them to kind of get us through it.
My mindset's changed quite a bit. In my case, it's helped me be more observant and think of A, B, and C options when I go to approach something or make a decision. And honestly, I've gotten to have a lot more pride since I've gotten into it. Really enjoyed it quite a bit.
Our uniform is very easily mistaken for law enforcement.
Because when we first started, they had blue, we had blue, and it's very similar. Until we actually put on our fire gear, it's easy for people to distinguish
That
it.
uniform signifies police officers to them. The badges and things that you wear are very similar.
I do a lot of the teaching for the children in the schools, and I would say more than half of them when I walk in, hey, you're a policeman, what are you doing here?
In the early weeks of October, and during that time we go and speak to children at the schools. And more often than not, we are called police officers or we are called firefighters, even when you show up in the big red truck.
We on the active line side deal with, because we are required to come in and out of the building in uniform in the mornings and leave in uniform.
If we're out in the public talking to the school in our dress uniforms with the badge and our name tag, kids especially mistake us quite a bit for police officers.
I always have to differentiate, well, I don't have guns, I don't have this.
In the morning, this is the new guy. I go to Walmart to get food for the day. And yeah, quite a bit when I'm there at the store, I put my dress blue. Young people or young children think I'm an officer.
I can't tell you the number of times that we've been, it wouldn't matter, Walmart, Brahms, because we like ice cream, Ron's, and it never fails, there's a police officer. And normally I wouldn't mind. You know, we're both public servants, we're both protecting the people, but unfortunately the last couple of years they've really painted police officers in a bad light, and I don't know that that's really the right thing. We've had discussions in the past about not wearing our uniform just because it's so easily mistaken. Fortunately, we haven't had that problem here in this region that, say, bigger cities do.
That is an issue that we've dealt with.
One thing that helps distinguish me myself as an officer, the officers wear white shirts, and you don't see many police officers in the white shirt around here. It's always blue, and our firefighters wear blue, so they do get mistaken quite a bit.
I don't know as a fire service as a whole if there's anything that we can do differently that would overcome that, but I think it's a challenge that we definitely need to take on.
The biggest challenge is looking after my crew, taking care of my guys both on the job and off.
Looking at the big picture, not only the fire, but outside what's going on around them.
Helping those guys work through tough times and looking after everybody while I'm in command is probably the most stressful part of my job.
In a fire, the conditions are always changing. So for him to stay on top of that and see, okay, the roof's collapsing over here, or fire's starting to vent out here. There's a guy that's been standing over here for a half hour on top of coordinating everything else, fire attack, ventilation, trucks incoming, water supply. It's a big challenge.
In the next 5 to 10 years, I absolutely see myself still here at Pittsburgh Fire. I love this job. I still wake up every morning and I'm excited to come to work. In 10 years, I would definitely like to see myself in maybe a higher position, a battalion chief possibly. 5 years, it could happen. I could go for a battalion chief in 5 years, but right now I'm very happy with where I'm at.
In 5 years, I see myself right here, running the same calls. I'd like to be a little higher up, lieutenant. I doubt I'll be captain, but keep moving up in this department and see where I go from there. Thank you.
Someday I'll feel it from the bare